All right, guys, I got Trey Lewellen here, and Trey is a rock star, Mr. On It. Trey's got two businesses. He's got a multi-million-dollar business when it comes to selling physical products on the e-commerce side of things. He also teaches people how to sell multiple millions on the e-commerce side of things. He's a lot of successful students, me being one of them. I got a chance to spend a little bit of time with Trey about 2 years ago. Probably doesn't even remember. He's taught so many people, and learned how to learn how he did the t-shirt sales to how he's incorporated. I love guns, right? Everybody,
I love my gun.
I love my guns. And he went out there and built a niche basically in the gun space on helping people, find more firearms in their life. That's what, and because of that, you've turned that into a multi-million-dollar business. I don't know how many millions you've done in that now at this point. It's got to be freaking insane. I can't wait to hear your numbers.
It's pretty amazing.
Cool, man. Well, first question I got for you: what's the biggest takeaway you've had so far as an entrepreneur? I mean, my thing when I heard your story about how you connected with your brother and how he was passionate about just being a police officer, and how you went in there and you saw. I like to almost look at it like you saw the blue blood side of things when he had a friend of his that got shot in the police force. And you were just starting out in your entrepreneur career as far as becoming, on the e-commerce side of things. I know you and I have shared a similar background as far as the insurance side of things, but tell us a little bit about how you got started doing what you're doing and the reason why.
Yes, so I was doing insurance on one side, and Bryceland. We just had this conversation yesterday because we've been talking about it so much, which is hilarious. But so I was doing insurance, and he was doing the police academy. So police academy was 2-3 months, and then he was still in college. He was working at Texas Roadhouse, which is a restaurant, and he was cooking steaks, and I was doing insurance, and so. There was kind of like those two storms brewing. He was trying to become a police officer, trying to get hired, and it's actually kind of hard to get. And then secondly, I was doing the insurance, and I was ready to get out. And I was getting yelled at by the marketing team because I was doing too many crazy things like videotaping myself driving a car. And they're like, yeah, you can't do that if you're selling property and casualty. I was like, why not? I'm like, trying to get out to YouTube and get all these visitors and stuff. And so so that was kind of storming, and the sign was on the wall that, hey, this is probably not going to work out. And at the same time, I'm watching my brother kind of struggle with getting a police job, and also in the case that if he does become a police officer, that's a high risk job. So, I mean, I love the guy, so I didn't want to see him come home in a coffin, to be frank. And with that, I was like, okay, we got to do something. And at the time, I was kind of building a fan page, like I was feeling like what that felt like what, is there money to be made? And I had like very little success, if anything, but it wasn't anything crazy. Like maybe sold 10 shirts. And I got with him. I was like, hey, why don't we start a fan page about guns? Because you love guns and I have fire that I just love the fight and marketing. I love the art of it. And so he's like, yeah, that sounds good. And we started doing this fan page, but yet he was still going to school and he was still pursuing police force. And it took me, and I totally forgot about this until we talked yesterday, but it took me like 3 months to convince him that we're going to start a business together. Like he was kind of like tiptoeing, like, feeling his pinky toe in. He wasn't all the way in. He didn't do a cannonball in like I did. Like I was cannonball in. I had to convince
Cannonball
myself first, right? And so we did that, and then after about 3 months, I finally got him to commit, and then that's kind of when we started selling some shirts. And he calls it, if you ask him, he'll say, oh, we went from zero to Lambo. And I was like, well, hold on. We didn't go zero to Lambo. We went like, we hit a couple rocks and went through a couple Lambos to get to the Lambo, because we there's ups and downs through it all. Like I think we went through like 20 shirts just to find the first successful one. But it's kind of like, have you ever seen that picture, Daryl, where there's like two dudes building a cave and they're like etching through, and then like there's the guy who's almost close to the diamonds, but he like turned away, and the other guy like makes it to the diamonds.
Have you been stalking me? Because I just posted on my Facebook wall yesterday.
Did you really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's funny. That's really weird. So yeah, there you go. That you can reference to that.
Yeah.
How awesome is that? But just like that, right? And so we just kept going, and we just kept moving forward. And you asked like, what's the one thing that we've learned as entrepreneurs is two things. First is no matter where you're at in those stages of steps to getting to where you're wanting to be, there's always like pain points. There's always ups and downs. Like people say that. People think, like, oh, after I make my first dollar, after I have a business, I'm just gonna be like chilling on a hammock in the Bahamas because it's just, good to go. And that's not reality. Realistically, it's there's pain points and there's struggles at each level, and they're different, right? Like the first one might be, I can't scale a Facebook ad because my credit card has a limit on it of 5K. And just hitting that 5K, that was one of the first pay points. So you get through that, and you're like, okay, now we're to this level. Now what's that look like? And maybe that's getting too many phone calls, and you don't have the customer support in place, and you don't have the phone systems up and running. Like, okay, what's that pain point? So it's all kinds of craziness. And the second one is that the truth is money doesn't create happiness. You gotta be happy. Like, from the different points of my bank account, there hasn't been a transition where I'm just like different, right? Like I don't feel any different. I'm not a different person per se. I've always been a happy guy. Like if you even ask my girlfriend, she's like, "Why are you always so damn happy?" Like I could be happy anywhere.
I've noticed that about you. You're always damn happy. You can't shake it.
No, you can't shake the happiness out. And you gotta, and I think a lot of that is you gotta be in love with yourself. You gotta find out who you are. It's like Dr. Seuss says, you are you, and that's truer than true, or something like that. And no one else will be you except for you. And so it's so true. So I think that's the two biggest things is, money doesn't create happiness. And Tony Robbins really kind of made that sink in when I was at the Funnel Hack event. When, I don't know if you remember him saying this, but he goes, there's a billionaire created every 5 days, especially in China. And he goes, but what's more rare than a billionaire is someone who's happy.
Yeah.
And I was like, dang, that's amazing. That's amazing. So just because you're a billionaire doesn't mean you're happy.
That's deep. That's deep right there. Tony cuts it in there right to the point. So Trey, one of the things that is the affinity you have, I know, for the police department because your brother and how that actually went down. Do you remember, what was going through your mind at that point? I remember you sharing the story with me about how you saw, did you guys go to the funeral, or you saw your brother going, or something that happened and it was still like a switch that went off on you because you were doing a completely different business than you were doing at that time. And I remember that was one of the things I was just like, wow, that really connected with me because I've been in the military. A lot of people that are listening to this are in the military. And, and I've lost a lot of guys, unfortunately, due to combat operations. And, upwards around 25 of my friends that I've served with, mentors of mine. And I just knew when you said that, it just a switch went on because for me, it was all about, okay, I need to take care of my family, and I know you saw your brother in that same kind of light. So if you could just kind of shed some light on that.
That's exactly what it was. You pretty much nailed it. You're watching all this kind of go down, and what's crazy is a year later. So we started the business, knowing all that, like seeing all that, and like being a part of that. So that's one big piece to where a year later, if Bryson would have became a police officer, he probably would have been in the fight in Ferguson, Missouri. Wow. So we're here in St. Louis. So he probably would have been, and there were some casualties there. That was that was all over CNN and all the crazy news. That's home to us. And he would have been in that. And it's a little intense to even just, like, gets me up a little startled. And it's like, man, who knows? Right. And who knows, even if Ferguson didn't happen, who knows, like there's cops that, that go away every day because of just going fast through lanes and getting hit, T-boned, just from shootings, like crime, like just stuff like that. It's just like, I'd rather, know that he's safe. I can open this door right here and see him and wave to him and, and he still gets all the perks, right? Like he gets to carry a gun every day. He gets to, do all that kind of fun stuff, go shoot bullets and go shoot the big guns. And like, that's what he enjoys. That's his passion. That's his fire. And where I think we've merged together so well is because he has that passion and it's so deep inside him to where I'm over here, I'm a marketer. Like I just enjoy the art of marketing. And when we were able to put those two together, what we have now, what we created. Yeah, it's amazing how like that ignited. And people say like, oh, don't ever work with your family members and don't ever like, let that happen. But we laugh and we have fun, and we even still go to dinner together at night. We still hang out. Like we'll be here all day, and I'm like, what are you doing tonight? And you're like, oh, I don't know, and we'll go hang out tonight. Like there's not, we're like, I don't want to see you till 8 a.m. tomorrow. Go away. Yeah. So that's pretty cool too.
Well, talk to us about the work-life balance that you have between the two of you guys, because I know you've got a young child at home, little baby now, right?
Oh yeah, he's three.
Yeah, 3 now. Yeah, because when I first met you, I think you were just having the baby.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It was painful.
Yeah, painful for your wife.
So what's the workload between?
Yeah, well, like the work-life balance. I know a lot of people out there, they struggle with the work-life balance between that personal side of things and the business side of things. And there's sometimes relationships. What are some of the success principles that you have that's worked out for you? Between you and your brother, and even just between you and your wife at home. I know I always see you traveling, going to China, and finding new cool products and stuff like that for people in your community. Yeah. Like how do you keep that balance and make it work for your family, and everybody's excited and you're so damn happy. So. And
I'm always so damn happy. So it is a balance, it's a big balance. So basically it's a couple things. I create routines with, so I'm not married, with the girlfriend. And, so she's a determined girl too. She's a real estate agent. She's rock solid. She rocks it out. And basically, she has the same work ethic as I do, but we make sure that our work is done during the day. And then we spend time together at night. So I have the little one every other week. So it's very crucial that, we spend time with our week. And then when the little guy is around, what we do is, we put stuff around him. Like we'll go to the zoo or we'll spend the weekend. So the weekends and the nights are total family focused. So once, like I leave here, I actually leave work about 3:20 every day. Awesome. I get here around 8 a.m. and I leave about 3:20. I go to the gym, I work out, because there's nothing better than being physically fit and mentally fit. I have a huge passion around that, and that's been driving for the last 6-12 months. That's really helped out. I was definitely overweight. It sucked. I really didn't notice how overweight I was until I started doing video. And then I saw myself, and I was like, holy Jesus.
Where's that extra thing going now?
Oh, my God. No, it was my stomach. It was my stomach. Like, my buttons were, popping out. I'm like, is that me? I'm like, oh, my gosh, it's awful. So the next day I signed up for a gym, and I didn't even go. I signed up for the gym, and then it took 3 weeks for one of the coaches to outbound call me, and they're like, hey, do you want to come in for a free session? I was like, this is God saying it's time.
Get your ass in the gym.
So that's been cool. And so I've lost weight, I've gained muscle, which is nice, and I feel great. Drink green juice.
You look great, man.
It's dude, I should show you before and after pictures.
We should do some before and after. You should see mine. It's pretty horrible.
It's exactly. You're like, just look at the right one. So I try to, I do. There's a lot going on. When you have 3 companies, I have the Trey Lewellen coaching, I have the ILMG, we have the Lumitech companies. There's a lot rotating around. I mean, as you know, funnels are going 24/7. People are buying at the middle of the night, throughout the day. That's what's the beauty.
Don't stop buying.
Making money while you sleep. But at the same time, things break. And so I do my best to delegate out a lot of stuff. When you start up, you can't do that. I totally get it. You're going to work some extra hours. You're going to be definitely getting down and dirty. But as you grow, and if you can grow quickly, like we have, we've done this in 3 years. So I'd say that's pretty quick. Mm-hmm. to where you delegate out, tasks and things that people can relate to, then your night can be more family focused like it is now. I get home around 5:30. I spend time with her. I spend time with him. And even on the weeks that I do have the little guy, we grab a babysitter every Thursday. It doesn't matter if we have him or don't have him. We dedicate Thursday night as our date night. So today's Thursday. So tonight we actually have a date night planned, and it might be something simple like we'll go to an Italian restaurant and go see a movie, to we'll do something extravagant. We'll actually hire a driver to come pick us up, and we'll go downtown and have a few drinks. Then we'll come back. It'll be about 2 to 3 hours, but it's just time for me and her. And okay. I think that's really fantastic. Another thing that me and her are working on is just doing miracle mornings. So we'll get up around 5:30. And then, yeah, some days we skip, some days it's not the greatest. Like I was tired today. We didn't do it today. I got a cold and I'm like, I took NyQuil last night. And so it's like, I can't do it this morning. But the day before that, yeah, absolutely. Like we were up, we're talking and we do like little readings and stuff. It's fun. And so again, when we had a little guy, he's still sleeping until 6:37. So
Nice.
just giving us that time together allows us to grow together and grow with one another. And then, taking vacations and stuff. So it's just like that. It's blocking out your time, I'll do some Facebook on my phone, but I try not to get on my laptop at night. I rarely do. It's mainly like my phone. If I'm on there just answering Facebook messages or Facebook replies from the mentors and just saying, hey, I got a question real quick. I'll just type them real fast. But it's pretty, pretty cut dry is how I rock the schedule.
Well, Brian's got a quick question for you around Facebook advertising. I know you're a wizard at doing Facebook advertising. How did you get started learning Facebook advertising? I know you spent countless hours, becoming a marketing ninja, but what are some, ways you got started and possibly some tips for somebody's out there wants to grow a fan page like you grew with I Love Guns?
Mm-hmm. So two things is I used to be a Facebook ninja. Now we hire that out. We actually have like a couple agencies that do our Facebook ads. So I'm not as good as I used to be, but when you're starting out, you got to be, right? Like you can't afford to get the agencies. So what I did though, was I hired a mentor around Facebook ads. So I found somebody who was really good at Facebook ads. My mentor was, I don't even know if you know Adam Spiel. So
I love Adam. Yeah. Hi, Adam.
So I reached out to Adam and I met him and I was actually his first client. I didn't know this, but I was his first guinea pig client.
That's hilarious.
And he was like, yeah, I was like texting him because he wanted $2,000 a month. I'm like, fudge, $2,000 a month. Maybe it was $1,000. It was just a lot of money to me at the time. And I was like, $2,000 is still a lot of money. So I was like, no, I don't want to do it. And he's like, don't you want to be successful? I was like, yes. He's like, well, what's holding you back? I was like, it's the money. He's like, well, you got to spend money. Like, we went through this big text conversation. And then finally, like something hit me. I was just like, you know what? Screw it. We're in. And I put it in. And then I got to say, like, I'm so glad he pushed me to do it because what I learned from him was Facebook ads and doing Facebook pages and just growing that page. And back then, like 3 years ago, Facebook, that's when you could like put a post and it was like, it'd blow up. And it was like amazing. Now you got to pay to play, which is more reach, but still there's strategy behind that as well. So yeah, we build pages, and then what we're building is a parade. So do you know who Carl White is?
He sounds familiar.
I talk about Carl White all the time. He was a great mentor of mine. All he does is loan stuff now. Like I'll call their office sometimes. I'll be like, hey, can I talk to Carl? Because he's so cool. Like he's just a cool guy, kind of like you. They're easy to talk to and fun, and you just never know like what nugget you're gonna pull from them. But anyways, Carl White taught me one big thing. He taught me three things, but this is one of them, which was always get in front of a parade. When you can get in front of a parade, you win. Let me give you. Do you know what that means? Like, let me give you an example of that.
Oh yeah.
Like St. Pat's, right? We just had St. Pat's. The St. Pat's parade was coming, and someone put that on. Like someone created that did a lot of work to get all those people to show up downtown for that parade to come. Well, there's two things. There's a product first approach, and then there's a market first approach, right? A product first approach would be me thinking, hey, you know what? I guarantee everybody at the parade loves water. I'm just going to go buy all this water. I'm going to go take water down there, and I'm going to sell them water. Versus that's a product first approach. A market first approach would be me surveying, saying, okay, I know people are going to be in the St. Louis area. Let me do some Facebook ads and survey them. Say, hey, here's 5 different drinks: Coca-Cola, lemonade, water, Sprite, all that stuff. Which one's your favorite? And then the survey comes back and it says lemonade. So me doing a market first approach would know that everybody going to the parade that day is going to drink lemonade. So I would go grab lemonade and sell them that.
But everybody else is bringing water.
Everybody else is bringing water, right? Because they're doing a product first approach where I'm doing a market first approach. And that's the biggest difference between our business than I think a lot of other people's is they're just throwing spaghetti at the wall, seeing what sticks. Whereas we have systems in place that find out and surveys our parades. And that's exactly what we're doing with the fan page is we're building that parade that Facebook's already done. We're just nitpicking people out into a niche and saying, hey, what do you guys want to buy? Like, what is it that you love? That's awesome that you're buying right now. And then you know what? We go sell them that. Mm-hmm. We try to keep it simple.
So guys, if you didn't take that away, get in front of a parade. So find a parade that could be so where somebody else is doing all the hard work and the advertising and building an audience, and you can get in front of that audience and find out from that audience what it is they want. You know, like Trey just explained right there, guys. It couldn't be any simpler. Trey, talk about the current funnel bubble that you've talked about before. Right?
Oh man, I love the funnel bubble.
The funnel bubble.
The funnel bubble.
Brian wants to hear about the funnel bubble.
So let's see. All right. So how's the funnel bubble? It's kind of like what started and where are we and like what's coming up. So I'm always looking at like how's the market, you know, what's the market doing and what are we doing right now that's working, and could we do what we're doing now back then, and will what we're doing now work later? And so with the funnel bubble, it's kind of like looking at like shopping carts and Shopify, to where, you know, people are more used to doing, you know, I go select this and put this in my cart and put this in my cart, and then I put my credit card in. With a funnel, it's the exact opposite. Well, I can tell you this is I can give you a Shopify store selling the same stuff, and I can give you a funnel that we build, and our funnel will 2.2x whatever that Shopify store does.
Wow.
Just from being able to get the credit card up front and then showing them extra things on the back, versus saying, here, I'm going to throw up on you. Here's everything you can have. I'm going to give you all these options. You choose which one you want. Our funnels will outperform Shopify by 2.2x. We've proven that over and over and over again with our own stuff. And so I see, okay, so we had the Shopify stores, we've had the Amazon stores, then now we have the funnels that are coming into play. But it's like, where might that pop be, right? Like, how big can a funnel get before it pops? And one thing I was looking into is, what's next, right? Like, what is coming up? Like, what are we seeing that's starting to trend? And one thing I see is how people haven't used their credit cards, and they're going through like Apple Pay.
Yeah.
So what if, like, think about this, like, we're in the funnel now where like you have to put your credit card in, and you have to do your address and name, and it sucks because, as we know, every click drives down a sale, right? Absolutely. The less click, the more sales. So if there was a way that they could name, email, phone number, address, credit card information, bought, right? So there is no more order form. It's just a swipe of a phone. Mm-hmm. So I was talking to Bryson about this. I was like, well, how would that work on an order form, you think? And he's like, oh, it's totally simple. They're already doing it. It's by your fingerprint on your phone. Like most of our traffic is mobile. So think about that. Think if you saw an order form, it's like press button to order. You just press the button, and then it says verify with fingerprint to purchase. Whoop.
It's huge.
I think that's going to be like, so we're in the fun bubble now, and I think that's going to be the next step of when payment is easy to collect by a fingerprint.
Yeah, it just make it easy, right? Hit the easy button.
Easy, and then I can't wait. I'm so excited for the phone call, Daryl, to be like, I didn't order this. Like, oh yeah, you did, dog. I got your fingerprint.
I knew you probably get some of those that come in.
Oh yeah, of course, right? Like that's just,
I
never ordered this.
Thousands and thousands of orders a day.
Yeah.
What's one of the craziest customer feedback stories you can share with us?
It's not the customer feedbacks, it's the crazy people. So for our just from analysis, like for every like 50,000 products you ship out, I'd say you get like one crazy person. And I don't know if it's because like I'm more out there in the world, like sharing what we do, versus, you know, the people who hide behind their stores and businesses, but I'm pretty outspoken and outgoing enough to where I'm a voice. So we had this guy, and he was a creeper. Like, that was the weirdest thing. And that can have an impact on your business if you really take it hard, or if your customer support. But it got so bad to where he was like calling and leaving like really, really mean voicemails. And I mean, you just get some haters out there. You get some like mean people, and just some like people who don't take their medication, I think, like this, like true, to where like he's like coming in our chat, and he was like, hey, I'm sitting outside in a van, like watching you right now. Like, all kinds of crazy stuff. And then like, so we figured out who he was. And so we just like comment back. Like, if we ever got any of those, it was just like, okay, Steve, like, come on in and say hi, I guess. Or, you know, like we'd be like, Steve, is it your birthday today? Like, you know, like, I think some people just want somebody to talk to.
That's on the extreme crazy side.
It's crazy.
That's
so,
crazy.
I mean, there's just some crazy people out there. But what's funny, my actually favorite though, that we have like a running joke on, is like the wife will call. And so like we have a very high older male kind of group for most of our.
Oh, they call for Veronica.
Well, yes, they do. So, but the females, ours is Victoria. So
Victoria, that's right.
So they'll call, and the wife will be like, "Hey, I have a charge on my credit card. Want to know what this is for?" And we'll look it up. Like, "Oh yeah, it looks like Daryl purchased, some Targets or whatever." And she's like, "What?" And then all of a sudden you hear like the phone, like
in the background.
Like, "What? Daryl, did you purchase Targets?" And then like really faintly you'll hear, "Yeah." What's a refund? And so it's hilarious. It's hilarious. Like so many times. Or the exact opposite will happen where Daryl will be on the phone and he'll be like, "Yeah, I'll take some Targets. Yeah, that sounds really good." And then in the background you hear, "What are you doing?" And then all of a sudden he's like, hold on. And so then the wife gets on the phone. He doesn't want any. Click. And so it's amazing. It's like, okay. So we always
Targets
have to
are not an expensive thing either,
No, they're not. But the wives are extremely protective. It's hilarious. And so with that, you like when we're on the phone with them, with the husbands, we're like, "Hey, is your wife home right now?" And they're like, "Oh no." Like, "Okay, good. We got something to talk about."
We got something to talk about.
We got something to talk about real big. So it's awesome though.
What's some of the ninja stuff you do on the marketing side of things that I know you've grown now? You got a bigger warehouse. You guys are shipping. Like, how many thousands of things do you ship on a daily basis now at this point?
It's a lot.
It's huge. I mean, I watched the video the other day and I was like, oh my gosh. I was like, since the last time I was out in St. Louis, I was like, I need to come in St. Louis and just see what the hell you're doing, because it's insane.
Well, I'll tell you this. We actually stopped. So I started this call with delegation. And one thing we found out real fast was we are awful at shipping. And so we delegated our shipping out to drop shippers.
Oh, wow.
So we just have drop shippers around the country drop ship the product out. So we don't even mess with. So I'm really good at two things. I'm good at building funnels and finding offers that work, like finding products that sell. Nice. And those two things, everything else I try to delegate. So I try to delegate my Facebook ads to agencies. I delegate, the customer service, the email responders, like all that stuff to other people. And so I can just concentrate on doing those two big things. And that's a big driver for the company as well, because you need those two things in order to kind of keep operating. So yeah, we've definitely taken shipping out. We definitely ship a lot. I remember UPS contacted us and they said, you're the number one shipper in Missouri or something like that in your class. And I was like, holy geez. Like, I know, like, when in our class, like, obviously, Walmart and those guys are above us.
Yeah, but, sure. Just a couple,
in our class, we were
But to be up there with the Walmarts, I mean, that's pretty damn impressive.
It's a lot of shit, because ours is just like little stuff, right? It's like, like little things. It's not like big containers or big crates. It's just little packages going out. So all those little packages, they add up. They definitely add up.
You get a lot of stuff out of overseas, correct?
Yeah, I would say, well, actually we do have some stuff that's made in America, but yeah, a lot of our stuff is from China. We're actually going here in a couple weeks. We'll be heading to China.
Question came in about, have you had any issues with products come out of China at all?
No, we've been very, very fortunate. How we started was we started with Alibaba, and we just ordered from Alibaba from there. And what's nice is Alibaba gives insurance, so if the product's damaged or if it sucks or if it never arrives, you can kind of do a dispute and they'll be able to help you out. But don't pay through PayPal, pay through their credit card merchant, and then that way they're taking it. And then from there, the Chinese person is going to make sure that order is more correct than probably others. And that's how we built a relationship, because Alibaba does add a charge on. And so when you start doing a little heavier volume through some units, you can kind of start saying, hey, you know what, we'll wire you money versus do this credit card thing, because they don't get paid for 20 days after it's delivered in the US. So when you wire it, they get instantly paid. A little trick to that is you can do what's called a TT, like TomTom. And what a TT allows you to do is it's usually like a 30/70. So you can pay 30% to the factory and say, hey, we're going to buy 10,000 knives and we're going to pay you 30% down to get all the materials. And then when you ship it, like when we get the shipping letter that it's on its way, we'll pay you the other 70%. And then that way, when it's here, it's all paid for, it's ready to go. And like, we have never had a problem with that. We'll just ask, hey, do you do T/T? And they'll say, oh yeah. And then we'll say, okay, 30/70. And then we pay them 30%. So that's a nice little tip versus saying, hey, here's all the money. Cause they love that. That's like paying the contractor to build your house, and you pay him all up front and then never shows up. You're like, hey, dude, are you going to get to this? He's like, oh, yeah, you already paid me.
Yeah.
That's the same thing with them over there is pay them a little bit, get the materials, and they're going to want that big chunk once they complete the task.
That's awesome, man. That's a huge tip.
You mentioned Victoria. That was really good for us as well.
Yeah.
I totally forget. Like I forget about the little stuff that we did and still do to this day.
Yeah.
We do a little drop down on our order form. So if someone starts to leave the order form, it'll say, hey, don't like ordering online, because our consumers, they don't like ordering online. Some of them are skeptical. They'll even, it's hilarious, is they'll call our phone number like, yeah, just making sure you guys are real. I'm like, how is a phone call verifying if someone answers on the other line that we're real? But to them it does. So like, yeah, just making sure you guys are legit. Yes, sir. I'm sitting in my garage right now in my pajamas saying I'm legit. I mean, there's no, there's no difference between someone who's actually sitting in office versus that, which I think is hysterical, but they still call. So we do a drop down that said, and so we know our avatar who's a male. So we put a nice lady at a desk on the picture, and it says, hey, don't like ordering online, call Victoria at certain number, and then boom, and they all call. And they're like, hey, just is Victoria there? I'd like to talk to Victoria and stuff. And so we actually had a girl who was one of our inbound ladies, and she would never say her name. So she'd always say, hey, thanks for calling ILG. How may I help you today? Yeah, I'm calling for Victoria. Oh, this is Victoria. How may I help you? And she would have like this like, because in their mind, they're talking to this lady, and it worked really well. It like drove our inbound calls up quite a bit just from people, not wanting to order online, but they still wanted to order on the phone. And it created a really nice connection. They saw the picture of the person that they were talking to, and it went from there.
So what some of the other one of the other big things is you were able to get what everybody calls as a self-liquidating offer, essentially with the gun oil, and how you got people on the gun oil niche, and how they got your gun oil, and by getting on the gun oil, then they bought other things from you. Could you explain a little bit about why you use gun oil and why you were able to turn that into a multi-million-dollar business?
So like, why did we choose gun oil?
Mm-hmm.
That came from the surveys. Like we didn't just like come up with like, hey, we should sell oil. We asked our patrons. We asked them and said, hey, what was the last thing you bought for directly towards your gun niche? Was it like, we give them options and we'd say other, and was it targets, gun oil, bullets, springs, like all the stuff, right? Magazines, and it's like oil started to skyrocket, and we're like, okay, it's oil. And so again, we're looking for those hand raises, like, what are you buying right now? And oil was one of those. And so then we went out and we said, okay, let's manufacture oil. So we came up with our own oil. It's called Tactical Honey. And we started manufacturing that, and we give them like a little 1 ounce bottle of it, which lasts forever, because 1 ounce of oil will go a long ways. And from there, just got the trip, which is the trip wire. Perry Belcher always talks about the trip wires. Mm-hmm. So what we got them to say, hey, yeah, that's me. I'm a gun guy, and I would love this oil. And then from there, we kind of upsell them into other different offers.
So again, the same kind of niche you talked about earlier about the same patties as parade. You had to pray to people on I Love Guns. Yeah. And you surveyed them. You find out that, hey, I want oil, and then you simply gave them oil.
Yep. It's as simple as that. Like, we don't make it too tough.
Don't make it too tough, right?
No.
That's some genius thing here. It's like, hey,
it really isn't. It really isn't. I mean, a lot of people try really, really hard to make things work, and I've always gone the simple approach, just to play KISS, keep it simple, stupid. That's something we learned in engineering school. So that's always kind of followed through me. Like every semester, we'd hear a professor say that, like, KISS, 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 and I was like, keep it simple, stupid, keep it simple. And so we'd that's kind of like always stuck in my brain, where when I'm building these funnels, it's like, just keep it simple. And that's where we don't build traditional long sales letters. Like if we do a long sales letter and printed it out, it'd probably be 2 pages front and back. Yeah. Like an 8.5 by 11. So like front and back, 2 pages. It's nothing long, nothing like those long ones. We've never done a 30-minute VSL. I know a lot of marketers do that, where you click on it and then you can't click anything because you're trapped in this like webinar for like 30 minutes and the button only shows at like minute 20. I mean, people who are going to watch that are going to convert. Duh. So we just try to get it up front. Like, hey, are you interested in this tactical honey? Yeah, I'll take some tactical honey. Sweet. Here's the order form. Right. Yeah. Like, That's how our avatar works. Like, he's not going to walk into a gun store and say, tell me about this gun oil for 30 minutes, and then I'll think if I want to buy. It's like, hey, you want to try out some gun oil? Yeah, I'll try it out. All right, here you go.
So it's a no-brainer thing. It's already what they're asking for. So another question coming from the audience talk about your first scale-up ad spend. How did you break through that $10 a day to $100 to onwards? I'm sure you spend a hell of a lot more than $100 a day now on Facebook ads.
Oh yeah, we try to spend anywhere between like $1,000 to $3,000 a day is our goal, depending on which the offer is. But yeah, so how I did that breakthrough? Realistically, that was a roadblock in my mind. That was layered so deep inside my soul that I had even no clue what it was. I actually, do you know who Sation is?
I do not.
Sation's a cool guy. So he was at a Palm Springs mastermind I was at, and me and him went into this back corner or whatever out in the beautiful beach or whatnot. And we sat down, and he's like, okay, I'm just going to walk you through an exercise. It takes about 20 minutes. And I was like, okay. And so basically it was just a series of questions that led to like the peeling of the onion, right? Back to the core of like what the true problem was, that I was like, why I didn't want to spend more than $10 a day in advertising.
Yeah.
Man, he pulled that out, and basically it came down to like I was fearful of being homeless and not loved by my family. It's really like that's what it came down to.
Oh, it's subconscious, man. I do it all day. That's what I do all day.
It's amazing. So yeah, so he got like that down into me. I was like, oh my gosh, that's what it is. And then he's like, now we want to come back out. And so I did these like little like mantras or whatever. And then I'm like, rah, like, yes, let's go spend more money.
Spend more money on advertising.
So, yeah, exactly. I went home and I was like, Bryson, we're spending so much money now. Like, who cares? Like, we're going to be homeless, but it doesn't matter.
He's like, that's it. You got that picture of you doing cheers, right? With wine.
Yep. So that was 4 months after that event. And there was that in the MTO, which was, your minimum target and outrageous. We did an unstoppable core on that, which is videos we put on the website. So we did that, and we came back, and yeah, we went from $10 a day to $100 a day to $1,000 a day. And when we went through scaling at the time, what we ran into was, again, like this was when like the Power Editor, there was no Power Editor.
Yeah,
like that's how far back, which is only 3 years ago.
Back in the day. This is back in the day before Facebook had rules. The wild, wild west of Facebook.
Right, and so here we are, spending this Facebook money, and Facebook capped us at $10,000 or whatever, and so then what was happening was we were charging our card, and we were spending so much money that we're spending $5K a day. That I know what it was. It's opposite. So Facebook capped at 5. Our credit card limit was at 10. And so we'd do 2 days of Facebook advertising, and then our credit card would be like, oh, by the way, you don't have money. And so then we'd have to like go pay off the credit card, and then Facebook would shut down for a day. So we'd have like this boop, boom, and then it'd come back up, boom, and then it's like, oh my gosh. And when we were selling t-shirts with Teespring, they ended a campaign. So we only had like 14 days to run it, to where like we're going up and down, and we're in this jet stream of selling so many freaking shirts because it became viral on this one shirt that we had in April or May. And we did like $117,000 in 4 weeks, in 1 month. And that was our biggest month ever with just t-shirts, because we were able to hit that jet stream with Facebook and just reach this entire mass amount of traffic. I
remember that you had a whole course on just blowing that whole thing up. I mean, the way you taught it.
Yeah, we did. And so what we found was that was in the t-shirt era where everybody was like doing t-shirts, and that was getting really, really big about 3 years ago. Luckily, there's a lot of people who've stuck with it, but there's a lot of people who've moved to other things like ourselves. Like we've moved to, physical products. We started testing t-shirts a little bit again, just because now we have funnels, so we can upsell. We can actually have the revenue be a little bit more, so we can, because Facebook's more expensive now, where we can actually afford more for those conversions. And so, yeah, we're selling a couple t-shirts here and there, testing those out and seeing what we can get as a back end. But it's they're also great tripwires. Those are fantastic things. So it's all about testing and seeing what your audience wants and working with it.
So, no, Trey, we've heard a lot about the successful side of things, but I think there's a lot of entrepreneurs out there, or just maybe, I know you've had some tough times in doing this. It hasn't been just like, oh, it's all glory and jets and all that kind of stuff and Lamborghini.
No. So it's zero to Lambo, right?
Yeah, it's not Lambo world, right? We're not Lambo world, guys.
Yeah.
Tell us about the low point, and you're like, man, am I going to make it out of this hole? You know,
Oh, geez.
we all stared at that rifle at one point, you know?
Oh, I mean, that still happens today. You know, there's even we have, so just to give you an idea where we're at now, we started with 2 people, right? Me and my brother. In 3 years, now we have like a little over 40 employees. We have a database of like 1.2 million. We, just keep growing. We have about 15 funnels that are running. So it's amazing, right? And it's amazing, but yet we still have things that break. And as you scale, like there's stuff that breaks that either you can plan for or you don't even know it's coming. It's like that storm that came out. It's like one of those sandstorms in the desert. Like you kind of see it coming. You're like, oh no. And then by the time
I've been in those sandstorms.
Yeah, you're done.
You don't even know it's coming. It's like, where the hell did that come from? Walking through the desert at 3:00 in the morning somewhere in Kuwait, like walking in front of my vehicle because we couldn't drive and see in front of ourselves.
So it's just like that. So our first sandstorm that really came was when I was on the edge of quitting my insurance job. Bryson was on the edge of quitting school. And we started our ILMG page, which stood for I Love My Glock. And we were making a couple Glock shirts, like Rock Out With Your Glock Out was one of our shirts that kind of ran really nicely. And it got the attention of Glock Incorporated, and we got a cease and desist letter. And so when we got that, we're like, oh my gosh, like, this sucks because our page is about Glock, our shirts are about Glock, our fans love Glock. Like how are we even going to keep going? And that was our first big thing. Like it was like, oh, we're done. Like this sucks. Like I got to keep being an insurance agent because we're never going to figure this out. And you got to keep going to school and try to be a police officer. And we had a big frustrating moment for probably a week or two, just trying to think like, how are we going to make this work? And luckily, just like ding went on. I'm like, we're just going to change the name from I Love My Glock to I Love My Gun.
Boom.
And so I was like, we're just going to go after all the guns. And I was
get
like,
all the guns. They're only Glocks. Take them all.
What are we thinking? We're thinking so small. It's like Glock. Yeah. We're just do guns. And so our audience is still Glock, people, but it just says gun now. So then of course the shirts were like, okay, well, how do we get around not putting Glock on the shirts? And so
I love guns.
we had to figure that out, right? And so man, because we started spreading out, and so that was a big pitfall. As we started, I mean, there's been multiples ones, right? Like trying to employ the right people. We had someone who we employed, and they were sending our database to themselves by email.
Man!
So every day they
it's like cybersecurity,
right? And so, but they were in house.
Yeah, it's like Snowden. Like the guy Snowden was in and work in your office.
Didn't even know. And they're downloading our database and like sending it to themselves, and we caught that. Wow. But what funny was, like, they didn't understand like how it works, right? Like they see just money from a database, and they're going to email our guys wedding stuff. That's what the idea was. They're like,
oh wow, that's smart marketing right there.
It probably won't work, but good luck. And little did they know about like cam spam laws and the FCC regulations. So that's a lot of stuff we deal with as well.
Wow.
So when you steal a database like that, you have no clue that you're even trumping off over those grounds. Like not just with the company itself.
But go on right now, and you can download every publication and training manual to be a Marine, right? Yeah. But unless you go to Marine Corps boot camp or go to officer candidate school or learn how to become a Marine, you're not going to be a Marine. It's the same kind of thing. I mean, you've put in the time, energy, and effort. You've invested in masterminds. You've hired people like Adam Spiel. It's amazing people that you and I met through Russell Brunson's program, the Inner Circle there. Invested in that program. So it's that proximity is power when it comes down to it. And you've done that in spades. And I just want to thank you again, honor your time, Trey. What's the best way for people to get a hold of you to I know you've got some awesome business opportunities out there teaching what you do.
Yeah.
And also if somebody just wants to get some gun oil.
How about we give them something better than that? How about we give them the gun oil funnel?
Yeah, absolutely.
Let's see. I sent you the link.
I'll get it.
Let's see. What is it? It's like mronit.com /
Yep, I got it in my Facebook feed here.
Yeah. I know the team set it up for you.
Yeah, but tell us about the best way to get a hold of you.
Here's the cool thing is the best way to reach out is to watch the Unstoppable course on TreyLewellen.com. We're putting those out every week, and it's free content. The purpose of those is basically, you know, if anything would ever happen to me, that I got some sort of legacy, I guess, and it's in that training. So I'm you know, we're putting some really nice nuggets out there too, and they're about, you know, 6-10 minutes each, so they're really easy clips. But it's just like a big solid nugget. Like if you're like, man, what can we do to improve our business today? Just go to the Unstoppable Core and watch one of those. You're like, that's it. That's a good nugget. I'm gonna go do that. Like, you know, adding chat to your form, or adding the Victoria thing, or you know, what to sell next. Like all that stuff is in those, and then of course we got other programs besides that as well, which is cool.
And you're able to then monetize all this stuff, guys. What I mean by this is here's Trey, was not trained in marketing whatsoever. His brother was not into marketing whatsoever, you know, and then they got together, and Trey loved marketing, but he spent the time, energy, and effort invested into himself, and had that breakthrough moment when you went from advertising, you couldn't see yourself spending $10 a day, to here you're spending $5,000 to $10,000 every 2 days, you know, at a point a couple years ago, just doing t-shirts. So it's a little bit around the mindset too. So there's so many golden nuggets you share with us today. Trey, if there was one thing you can go back and talk to your younger self about, and we're like, I just want to, you know, it was a lesson that you learned where it was like, man, I want to go back and give myself some advice on what to do. Where would you be at that point in time, and what would you say?
Dude, I would do it all the same way. I really would. I would, again, like we've kind of hit this pretty heavily, but I would build a parade, or find a parade, right? Like Facebook's already built that parade for us. It's just taking all the people in that parade and figuring out like, hey, who all loves guns? Oh, you guys? Okay, come over here. Let's have a real quick conversation. So be building that fan page up, and then asking them questions. If Facebook didn't exist, you could easily do that with the public. You know, I can use that. You can use that in any terms of business. Just surveying your audience. Like even if I was a dentist, you know, mailing everybody out and saying, hey, fill out this quick survey. Are you interested in teeth whitening? Are you interested in you know, decay, or what is it that really floats your boat? You know, and then figure out what that is, and then go sell them that. So when someone walks in, you're like, hey, guess what? We got a sale on today. Free teeth whitening. Oh my gosh. I'm totally interested in free teeth whitening. I'm totally into that. And so, you know, you can use this in any industry, not just online, but offline as well. And I got that link. It's the MrOnIt.com/money mindset.
Yep. I posted out on Facebook, and that way, guys, if you want to get Trey has given you his multi-million-dollar funnel. That's given for free. So guys, go get it. That's the best way to, again, if you want to learn from the master, take a look at his funnel, take a look at his page. Trey, I'll make sure I share in the show notes the links to go over. I know you got like the podcast going now, teaching. I'm going to go over, and I'll be listening to that too. So
yeah,
guys,
that's great.
It's great information. So Trey, I appreciate having you on today. I look forward to having you on again soon, man.
Yeah, brother. I appreciate you, man.
Absolutely,
and then thanks for everybody who's on the call and asking questions. That's awesome.
Cool. All right, brother. I'll see you later.
All right, see you, brother.